I I'm coming up on here on this camera today because I want to talk to you guys about something so real. So last time I made a video about something similar to this, I got a lot of feedback. I got a lot of hate, but I got a lot of feedback. I feel like it's important for me to come up on here and I just want to express how I feel about certain things just because I want to know that I'm not crazy, you know what I mean? Like, I want to put it out there and I want other people to be able to relate and be like, oh, you know what? I've thought of this too, or I've heard this and I've believed this. So I'm just going to jump right into it. So, as you know, if you haven't watched my flat earth video, please go ahead and watch that first. Or you could keep continuing, it doesn't really matter. I'm somebody who believes that the earth is indeed flat. Doesn't think it, knows it, and that's really all there is to it. That's my stance on that. That's not the subject of this video. The subject of this video is the moon. So, I have so many different beliefs on this subject that I could go on for days, hours, months, years, ages, centuries. But we're on a limited time because we're on YouTube and I don't really have that much memory to be making videos that long, so we're going to keep it limited today. Is the moon really a thing? We're going to break that down. So, okay, my first theory, this is my favorite one. I'm going to start with my favorite one. I think that it is possible that maybe this is all just a simulation. I'm a big fan of the theory that maybe that the Hunger Game, that you know how the Hunger Games was set up and like the sky was all fake and everything like that, and it's like all basically virtual. I think that that has a lot to do with what's real today. And I think that maybe in the making of that, they were using real facts from maybe people that know what's really real. So I think maybe the moon is just kind of like a computer screen, kind of like a big giant iPad across the whole world, which is flat. And I think that, okay, yeah, there's different phases and stuff like that. I think they're smart for doing that because then they're like, okay, well, now we're going to write all this false information. Okay, this phase means that and this phase means that. So then we're distracted by that. So now we're distracted by this big giant white thing in the sky that has different phases all the time, to distract us from what's really going on in the world. Much like so many other things in the world, that the government will use to distract us, such as the shape of the earth that we live on today. I believe that every time they broadcast a new screen on the sky with a new phase, and they broadcast it at different times so that we can keep the time zone thing going, they pump different oxygen. So, kind of like when you walk into a casino, they pump oxygen into the air so that you can't pass out like randomly, like from gambling for 24 hours straight. They want you to stay up and alert. That's basically what they're doing to us with these weird phases and the screens in the sky and stuff like that. So maybe for like a full moon, they'll pump a whole bunch of like weird shit into the earth so that everybody starts to act a little bit crazy and everybody kind of starts to mimic what it's like to be drunk in a way, without actually being intoxicated. Because, as you know, on a full moon, a lot of people tend to act a little bit crazy, or maybe they'll be a little bit tense or something like that. We all know people who act a little bit different when it comes to be a full moon. So that's because of the oxygens and the different levels that they're pumping into the earth. So my information that I have to back this up is the fact that maybe some people spend more time outside than others, and that's why maybe this oxygen pumping thing isn't really working as well on others as it is compared to people who are outside all the time. So maybe if you work outside or you live in like a nice area where it's always nice, such as Florida, for example, why is there always crazy crimes happening in Florida? Every news article, Florida man, blah, blah, blah. Well, that's because they're always outside. So those are the people that are getting the most of this weird, crazy oxygen. It's not because they're crazy. It's because the government is making them crazy. These poor Florida people are getting the bad rep for no reason. And I just think that this whole cycle is just really toxic. And I think that President Trump has a lot to do with this. Although the moon has been going on for so long now, just as long as Santa Claus and all that stuff, uh, he's probably adding to it. He probably changed the levels that are going on because ever since Trump became president, people are acting a lot more crazy. There's going to be a lot of weird people in the comments that want to fight me on that. Go ahead. I don't care. I believe that every time there's a new phase going on or something like that, they're pumping different shit into the air. They're making people crazier, making people less crazy, maybe more emotional some days. Halfway through the month, everybody's crying. It's a mess. It's crazy. So my second theory is, I'm going to move on to my favorite one. This is my favorite theory. I think that maybe the moon is real, but it's not really a planet, if you know what I mean. So like I said in my past video, I believe the Earth is flat. I believe every planet is flat, if there are other planets. Now, I do think that there might be other planets out there. Do I have physical proof of it? Yeah, there's photographs and stuff like that, but there's also Photoshop. Look at James Charles photoshopping the star look onto his other eye. You never know what's real and you never know what's fake. Until I get into a rocket and I go into space and I see what's going on up there, these are my theories and I'm sticking to it. Maybe the moon is really just a big giant globe or a big giant dome where all of these aliens live, and maybe there's like a big door opening and you go inside, versus on the Earth theory where you land on this big giant dome and everybody's living on top of it. I think it's more realistic if something's circular for people to live inside of it. So that's more realistic to me. I could see maybe the Earth being round, but I think it's a handmade object that was made by another species. So this is probably where their building of their UFOs take place, and, you know, stuff like that, maybe new inventions and factories and stuff like that. We don't know how big the moon really is. Maybe it's ginormous and they fit the whole world in there. Their whole alien world is in there. We don't know. We do not know. That brings me over to the sun. Now, this is one of my favorite theories. I believe that the sun is really just the moon, but on fire. So I think that maybe this was a whole colony of alien stuff like that. And I think that the government set that shit on fire with like a giant flamethrower or something like that, because they didn't want us to know what's really going down up there. They're always so concerned about covering stuff up and hiding and distracting everything. I think that the sun is just the moon on fire for the past millions of years. And I think that maybe that's how life as it was billions of years ago, maybe that's how everything got wiped out. Maybe that's why there's no more dinosaurs and stuff like that, which also could be another distraction made up by the government, but that's a whole separate video. I believe that once this sun, which is really just the moon on fire, stops catching on fire or whatever it's doing, once that fire is out, it is going to come crashing down into our version of Earth, and we're going to be done, and it starts over and over again. And I think that's how the Earth was made. Because then once it crashes down onto the Earth, then it cools off for a few million years, life starts over again. There you go. I think that's the cycle of life. That's just my opinion. Now, I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me on this. They're going to say, hey, you know, that's not very educated of you. Trust me, I am educated. I sit at home and I research stuff like this all the time, and it's just what I believe in my heart and what I know in my heart. And I honestly and truly, I'm not trying to offend anybody. And from the bottom of my heart, if you for 1 second think that maybe I'm crazy, maybe the Earth is round, I feel bad for you. You're stuck in old times. What are we, in the 17th century? Grow up. It's time to open up your eyes. all three of them, and you gotta realize what's really happening in the world today, because they are trying to distract us, and I am gonna get to the bottom of this, whether the world likes it or not. And you know what? I don't care if there's 2 people watching this, or if there's 2 billion people watching this. I am here to provide the people with what they deserve, and that is the truth. So, if you don't like what I'm saying, you don't have to continue to watch my videos, but I just want you to know that I'm thinking of you and you're in my thoughts and prayers, because you're just so shallow-minded. You gotta open up your mind and you gotta open up your heart, sweetheart. There's so many possibilities in the world, and the world doesn't revolve around you. Okay? So, thank you so much. If you made it all the way through this video, I love you very much, and I hope you have a beautiful day. If you liked me and you liked this video, feel free to give me a thumbs up. If you didn't really like me and you didn't really like this video, go ahead, give me a thumbs down. If you like videos like this, go ahead, let me know in the comments just so I know what you guys like, and I'll keep that in mind for future videos. And once again, I really appreciate everybody that watches my videos. Like I said, it doesn't really matter to me how many people are watching my videos, as long as there's at least one person out there enjoying them. And if I could put a smile on your face today, that means I'm doing something right. So thank you so much, and I love you, mean it. You're so hot. Bye.
With my red bottom in my Gucci bag, we don't got problems. We just got cash. We just got cash. We just got cash. We don't got problems. We just got cash.